Hey beautiful, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, thank you so much for stopping by and welcome to Motherhood Fine Print. I'm Jasan. I'm a first-time mom sharing my experiences with motherhood as well as sharing tips and tricks that worked for me and my baby. Now in my previous video, I shared 10 tips for pregnant women, and these were all things I wish I knew when I was pregnant. Now in today's video, I'm going to be sharing my labor and birthing story with you guys, and at the end of the video, I'm going to be sharing 10 things that you should do and expect in preparation during and immediately after the birth of your baby. Now, if you've already had your baby and you're watching with me right now, well, I'm sure you can relate to when I say that last month feels like it's never ending. So you can imagine my disappointment when I went past my due date. Apparently, it's not uncommon for first-time moms to go past their due date most of the time. Who knew? Anyways, I had my first signs of labor starting on the morning of the 5th. I did not end up having my baby until the 6th, and my initial due date was on the 4th. So on the morning of the 5th, when I woke up, I had some mild pain to my lower abdomen and my back. This pain felt like menstrual cramps. I knew it wasn't Braxton Hicks, and I knew it wasn't actual labor at that point, but that was one of the first signs I had. By 12 noon, the pain was gone, and I wanted it to come back because I wanted it to progress to true labor. I was over this pregnancy and I wanted this baby out like no. So I went for a walk. I just walked around the block maybe about 2 or 3 times because I didn't want to go too far from home, especially with my husband being at work. When I got back home, I wanted to have a pee, so I did that, and when I wiped, I noticed I was losing my mucus plug, and that was the second sign that I saw that I was gonna go into labor at some point that day. I was hoping anyways. So the pain didn't come back, so then I ended up calling the doctor's office. I wanted to let them know that I did have some pain this morning. I lost some of my mucus plug and that I wasn't feeling my baby moving as much. So they recommended that I went into the hospital and had a stress test done. Now, if you don't know what a stress test is, it's just a type of monitoring where they put 2 probes on your belly and they listen to the baby's heartbeat and they monitor how the baby is moving, and also if you're in labor at that time, that's the same machine that they'll use to track your contractions. When I got there, the nurse hooked me up to the monitor and she had me there for maybe 20 minutes, and then she'd come in and out and she'd check the baby was fine, and she finally decided that she was going to check my cervix to see how dilated I was. At this point, I think it was maybe 5 p.m. in the evening of the 5th, and I was 1 centimeter dilated. So she told me to go home and come back when my contractions are back and when they're 5 minutes apart for 1 consecutive hour. So we came back home and we went for another walk, and then I decided I was gonna go to bed maybe at about 10:30 at night. At 12 midnight, the pain woke me up out of my sleep, and this pain was different. It wasn't just a cramp anymore, and it certainly wasn't a Braxton Hicks. I was starting my labor. Now let me just say, if you're a first-time mom and you're wondering if you're going to know when you're in true labor, you are going to know. The pain is unlike anything you've ever felt before. You cannot mistake it for anything else. You will know. Now fast forward to 4 a.m. in the morning. I'm still up, still having my contractions. By this point, they're like 6 to 11 minutes apart, and I was not tolerating the pain well. The pain was getting more and more intense, and I was not coping. So my husband decided that we're gonna go to the hospital, and I wasn't going to fight him on that because the pain was unbearable. We got to the hospital somewhere around after 5 in the a.m. and they hooked me up to the monitor again, and the nurse checked my cervix again. At this point, guys, I was still only 1 centimeter dilated, and this was probably about 12 hours since they had checked the first time. So I was a little bit annoyed. I was worried that they were going to send me home to wait it out because I felt like I truly could not bear the pain on my own. But when the nurse came back, she asked me if I would be able to cope at home on my own, and I told her no. And then she told me that they were going to admit me and asked me if I wanted some morphine to help with the pain. I did accept the morphine, and let me just say right now that I did not take the epidural. I wanted to have a natural birth, so that's what I did, as painful as it was. So she gave me the morphine, and I'm opioid naive, which means I've never had any form of narcotic medications before, so the morphine threw me for a loop. I could not stay awake. I would wake up when the contractions come on, and I would go through the pain. I would scream, I'd do what I needed to, and then the minute the contraction was over, in between contractions, I was just sleeping. I was just out there. They moved me to a private room, and this is where I would be giving birth to my baby. By this time, it was a new nurse on shift, and she was an angel. So she noticed that I was in a tremendous amount of pain still, even with the morphine. So she offered me laughing gas. And of course, guys, I accepted. I was going to take anything but the epidural. So she instructed me to breathe in the face mask every time my contractions would come on. When I first inhaled the gas, I remember shaking my head trying to make sense of things. I felt really confused, and the two medications, the morphine and the gas, in combination with each other, were making me twice as drowsy. So now I was out of it. As you can see up here, I just put a little clip in there. You can see me look like I'm dying when I dropped the gas and my hands dropped dramatically and all of that stuff. The pain was so intense. Whenever it came on, I would feel really, really hot. My husband was at the bedside trying to cool me down with his hat, and I'm trying to take off my gown while being sleepy. And then the nurse would come in and she'd give me a cold cloth on my forehead, and then now I'd feel freezing and I'm shivering. It was almost like my body was fighting against itself. They put me in a tub of water, and I can remember bracing my feet against the tub so I was able to lift my lower half up so I could swing my lower half from side to side. This felt like it was helping with the pain, but overall nothing could take that pain away. I was falling asleep in the tub again between contractions, so they brought me back to my bed. At 12 noon, the nurse checked my cervix again, and I was 6 centimeters dilated, and that was also when my water broke. When the water broke, it just felt like it was warm and like a gush of water. It would almost be similar to peeing a large amount of pee on yourself. That's what it feels like. I don't know if that's a good explanation of what it would feel like. That's the best way I can think of describing it. As I got closer to being fully dilated, the nurse placed this huge ball. It almost would look like a one of those exercise balls that you bounce on. It would look like that, but it had a funny shape. And she placed that between my legs and placed me on my left side. That made the pain so much worse. I have no idea why, but I can remember waking up after a couple of times of trying to keep it there. I asked her if I could, if they could take it out now, and she said yes. I was so happy when she said yes. It made the pain like 10 times worse. Now remember, I was supposed to inhale the gas during contractions, right? Now I woke up, and I believe at this point it was sometime after 2 p.m. I woke up to the pain and was reaching for the gas, and I heard my nurse say, "No more." So I looked down to my feet, and in a matter of seconds, I noticed 3 nurses, gloved and gowned, 2 nursing students, a male nurse to my right hand side, my husband on the left hand side, and someone's been asked to page the doctor. So yes, this was the real deal. It was happening. It was time. I was finally gonna get rid of this load, and even more excitingly, I was going to finally meet my baby. So the birthing process had started, and I'm going and going, and I felt like I couldn't go any further. I looked over at my husband, tears all over my face. My mouth felt really, really dry. And I just said to him, I can't do it. And he said to me, he said, "You know what?" He said, "You can do it, honey." He said, "I can see our son's head." And I just started praying aloud because I felt I needed that strength that only God could give to me. And 4 more pushes, and I was holding my baby. I can't tell you that it was an easy journey. The pain was excruciating, it was awful. With that said, that's my experience. Your experience may be different. Everyone's experience is different. I'm just sharing my story. As bad as the pain is, it's totally worth it at the end when you finally get to hold that baby that's been in your tummy growing from a tiny little cell. And you remember the kicks, and you'll be being patiently waiting for your baby and anticipating, wondering what your baby's gonna look like all these things. The minute you see your baby, the love that you'll feel, it's just overwhelming. And I can remember kissing my baby and hugging my baby, and yes, I counted his fingers and his toes. Why I did that, I don't know, just weird, I guess. Now you've gotten so far into the video, you know you want to stay, so go ahead and hit like and subscribe, and as promised, I'm going to jump right into my 10 tips. Number 1, you want to listen to your healthcare professional, whether it be your nurse, your midwife, your doula, your OB. Just listen and trust that they know what they're doing. Listening can reduce your risk of excessive vaginal injury if you're doing, vaginal birth, and also it can reduce the risk of your baby going into distress. Number 2, don't be alarmed if your baby has really dry, peeling skin. This can occur especially if your baby is full term or overdue. This is just a result of a waxy coat that is on the baby's skin while the baby is growing in the womb. When it's coming to time for the baby to be born, that waxy coat called vernix, it starts to shed. So that's why your baby's skin will be dry when the baby is born. Number 3, you might not have any milk in your breast until 1 to 2 days after giving birth to your baby. What you will have though is cholesterol, and your body naturally produces this to nourish the baby until your breast milk comes in. Number 4, you want to make sure you have a birth plan, and you want to make sure that you include your support person in this plan. They should know what you want in case you're not able to make those decisions on your own. So you want to make sure that this is somebody that you trust and is comfortable with making decisions for you. Number 5, expect that you might experience some burning when you take your first void after giving birth to your baby vaginally. Now ladies, have a look at this bottle and listen to me carefully when I tell you, do not leave the hospital without this bottle. You will need this bottle every single time you pee. You can call it a squirt bottle, or on the bottle it says cleansing bottle. So you'll need that. You put warm water in there and you use it while you're peeing to soothe that burning sensation. If for some reason where you have your baby they don't provide this bottle for you, then what you can use is you can buy a basin, or you can use a sitz bath. I'll show you what that looks like. So I didn't really take it out of the box because I didn't want to, but you can see what it looks like right here. And then you just get this at any pharmacy. If you're in Canada, I'm not sure about anywhere else, but like I said, you can use this, or you can use a basin and just sit in it, and the warm water will help. Now guys, number 7 is going to be an extension of number 6, but I felt it was important to note, so I wanted to do it separately. Now that squirt bottle that I showed you, you want to make sure that you don't use cold water to soothe the burning sensation. It makes it 10 times worse. Please learn from my mistakes and thank me later. Number 8, you may have some constipation and hemorrhoids after the birth of your baby. You want to make sure that you talk to your doctor or your nurse before you leave the hospital so they could prescribe the appropriate medications for you. Number 9, I'm going to recommend that you stay in the hospital gown for 3 reasons. 1, it's easier for the nurses to assess you when you're wearing the gown. 2, it saves you hassle of having to pull pants or tights down, leggings down to have your assessment done. And number 3, it's not worth it to ruin your perfectly good clothing because you're going to be bleeding a lot and it can get messy. Now number 10, expect that there's a possibility you might have a bowel movement while pushing out your baby. This is scary for most women. I was even wondering, wonder if it's going to happen to me. It did not, but I got myself to a point where I did not care. I was not worried about if it was going to happen. This happens quite frequently during the birthing process, and the nurses and the doctors, they're not new to the rodeo. You don't need to be embarrassed. It's not something that you should worry yourself about. Just go in, try to do your best to have a normal, healthy baby. Now guys, that's the end of the video. Thank you guys so much for stopping by and sticking with me to the end. Don't forget to share with your friends so we can build a community. Share your experiences in the comment sections and ask questions if you have any. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the notification bell so you don't miss my videos when I upload them on Wednesdays. Thank you guys again so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next week.